musicians look into the crowd and act like they know somebody?
Welcome to the Sean Astin panel. I just have a couple of reminders real quick. This is an opportunity for you to ask questions of one of your favorite humans on this planet. I must remind you, no asking for selfies, hugs, autographs, none of that. Keep it highbrow, because we've got some little ears. And other than that, just have a really good time. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
You know what the problem is with this audience?
What?
Nothing.
Nice. You've done this before, I see.
I got it in the palm of my hand.
I know that I'm probably only going to ask one thing, because I know that there's a lot of people who are itching to ask questions. And I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but I'm dying to ask if the rumors are true about you being involved in Stranger Things 2. You were one of my favorite things, and that is one of my favorite things, and just beautiful fusion could happen.
Yes. I got a rumor that's already been like publicized by the company. They like put out a whole thing. Let's say IMDb. I wonder if you looked at IMDb. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that can be hacked. I gotta
But we should never expect that anybody knows anything. Just because like con audiences are the most sophisticated, like well-researched people on stuff like this. But no, thank you very much for that lovely idea. Yes, I get to be in, well, we keep saying, you just said it, like Stranger Things 2, like it's a sequel. But it is, I mean, yeah, but like really we have to start rethinking how we kind of categorize things. It's Netflix, so it drops all 8 or 9 episodes on the same day. So, are they episodes? Like, you know, it's like a 9-chapter movie or something, and you can watch chapter 2 if you want, or chapter 9 first, or whatever you want, but like, is it a series? If it all is available at the same time? I don't know. I don't know. But I get to be in Stranger Things Season 2.
Yeah. And now we.
You want to know what can I tell you something about?
Oh my God! Please, I didn't want to pry.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
Okay, I deserve that.
No, I just said, yeah, that wasn't very nice of me. Come in, welcome everybody. Woo! Holy mackerel.
I have one more question, and then we'll go over to this microphone. If you were to choose, what is your go-to karaoke song? This one's just for me. I'm just curious. Are you a karaokeer?
Wow. I don't karaoke a lot, but I could probably drum up a song. But, well, guys, just try and get there. I love singing. When I'm at the table, I sing, well, tell me something good. Right? So, like, I have no problem singing. Maybe that's my karaoke.
That's your karaoke song?
Oh, my God. No, but I started thinking about Journey. Isn't Journey like every karaoke kind of like, yeah. Wheels in the sky, keep on turning. That's karaoke!
Yes!
I saw a little white ball going all over your head right now. Beautiful. There's more too. My daughter at dinner the other night asked me, Dad, what's your favorite song? I don't know if she really wanted an answer. But I started going through the, like, I DJ'd the next 40 minutes of the dinner, you know? And a lot of it came back to Billy Joel. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like, some folks like to get away, take a holiday in the neighborhood. Alright to Miami Beach or to Hollywood. My mother told me that she was really harsh on me about my voice. She was scared. She was always about like doing the right thing, and I was like her, you know, she like molded me to be this thing that was acceptable. And love my mom, love Patty Duke. And she, I think when I would start to sing, she was embarrassed that maybe it wouldn't be right, so she would kind of say stuff. So I was always scared to sing. And then the other day, the same daughter who asked what my favorite song is, I was singing something and she kept saying, "Dad, you're tone deaf." We had our first fight.
Your mouths and babes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I sang her into submission.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think anybody here would mind if you sang, so that's fine. Well, we'll tell her you're not tone deaf. Sir.
I like the way you're sparkling.
There's one actor who's part of the new It movie coming out in September 8th, which basically means that he is Richie from the book and the movie. How does it feel to work with him?
Are we talking about Ryan?
Stranger Things, yeah.
It's about Stranger Things. How does it feel? It feels funky. It feels funky. On September 8th, yes, he is, you're talking about Michael, right? You're talking about Finn. Finn, you're talking about Finn.
No, that's Bill. No, that wasn't Bill.
Yes, no, but we talked about that. When he and I were working together, we have a lot to do together in the movie, and he told me all about that movie. In fact, he had to go back and shoot extra scenes on that movie. And I think he's 15. Is he 15 years old? You know what I'm talking about?
I think, but I don't know how old he is.
Yeah, I think he's 15, and he was like talking to, I don't know, like some really sophisticated, seasoned veteran of a film actor. We were just a couple of guys talking. He's like this kid, but he's totally experienced. Talking about how he got the part and how they, I don't know, I love that kid.
And also, who would win, Gandalf or Dumbledore? Dumbledore.
I don't think there's any question that the world would mourn Dumbledore's passing. Where Dumbledore and Samwise have the same West Country accent. Oh no, Harry Potter. I saw that and I was like, he stole my voice. Thank you for your questions. Good questions.
Thank you, and see it, the movie coming out September 8th.
September 8th, everybody. You heard it here first.
I didn't know they had a ground control.
Yeah.
All right, here's somebody over here. Yes.
Sean Astin.
That's me.
Hey, buddy.
What's up?
Nate Chan, the Chan podcast. First of all, thank you for being in Sanford fucking Cisco. Holy fuck! Hold on.
Put the microphone back in the stand. That's okay. Now apologize to all the children and the parents in your lives.
Kids, I'm very sorry. Do not follow my example by any, well, a few of them, not all.
My father is 87 years old, and after his, he has advanced degrees, and he teaches drama, and he's a Shakespearean, classically trained Shakespearean actor. He's traveled the world. He's been very famous. He's done a lot of things, and at his advanced age, he says, "I've learned one thing that's absolutely a hard and fast truth." And I, of course, want to know what that is. And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Monkey see, monkey do." So if you want the kids to have a good life, set a better example.
I believe I just got put in my place.
You did. You just got put in your place, but I do want to hear your question. So what's your
That's
question?
actually relevant to the question I have. Being in media, the weirdest part about being in media, ladies and gentlemen, is relevance. Being relevant is the most difficult part about being in show business. So, Sean, I ask you, for my late mother's sake, she wanted to be here, but unfortunately, she passed recently. So, I ask you, how do you stay relevant in today's climate with having all these different streaming avenues and, more importantly, accessible avenues such as podcasting and media developments? How do you, Mr. Sean Astin, stay relevant?
Okay. So I lost my mom a year and a half ago. So you have my deepest sympathies for your loss. It's very easy to try too hard. And I think you're trying too hard. I think that if you do something from your heart, and it's very clear that you're a passionate guy, and you're doing a podcast, people will find you, you just stay true to yourself. You keep doing what you know. That's how I've survived for 30-something years as an actor. Is I just keep doing what I know. You work hard. That's the one piece of advice that I've started giving people more and more and more lately, is you have to work hard. You have to outwork everybody else if you want to accomplish something. So you're obviously a very hard worker, and so I have every confidence that you'll do great things. But that's what I do. That's what I do. I just keep fighting and I do my thing. I try to do my absolute best. And when you do, I've had a lot of failures. There are a lot of movies out there that are not great that I'm in. But every single one of those I put my whole heart into and I try. So my guidance to you is don't try too hard, do your thing, take your natural passion, and you're going to be just fine.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Hi, I have two questions.
Okay.
One is if you could talk to us more about the advocacy organization you set up in memory of your mom. That would be great.
Yeah.
Because I love her and I want to hear more about what the organization is up to. And also, I wanted to know if your dad is still doing his Edgar Allan Poe one-man show, because I've never seen it, and I'm wondering if it's ever been recorded or put up on YouTube, or if they're going to record it for PBS or something like that before he stops doing it.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for following my parents' lives and work so closely.
Well, I'm older than you, so it's easier.
You probably know them longer than I do. I have some questions for you a little bit later. So my dad, so you know John Astin is my father, Gomez from the original Latin. He was one of the Riddlers in Batman, and he was after Frank Ocean, but I think there were 4 of them, so I don't know who the others are. But anyhow, he used green tights. Awesome as a kid. So now he's 87. He teaches drama at Johns Hopkins University. He loves his classes. He loves his students. They've renamed. There's actually a barn on that campus. We're talking about Baltimore. For those of you who don't know, Johns Hopkins is, the premier, or it's in the top 2 or 3 medical facilities on planet Earth, and that's where he went to undergraduate school. Anyhow, on the campus they have a barn, an actual horse and carriage barn from turn of the century or whatever, turn of the last century, and they turned it into they did different things. It was a tool shop for a while, but then they turned it into a theater. And so for the last 100 years it's been a theater, and my dad, they renamed it the John Astin Theater, which is really kind of cool. So, yeah. One of my favorite memories there is my uncle and aunt, my late aunt, who's really the matriarch of our family. They came and we sat, Mac, my brother, you guys know Mackenzie Astin? Yeah. We'll get into one of these things eventually. I'm like, are you allergic to pain public? So we sat down and watched my dad's greatest thing. I think even better than the Addams Family is Evil Roy Slade. Have any of you seen Evil Roy Slade? Do yourselves a favor. I don't even know if you can see it on YouTube or wherever, but if you can figure out, some people, eBay, maybe they sell it on Betamax, I don't know. But he's so good. He is so good. And my mother's Patty Duke, who was a Catholic woman, like Keller, Patty Duke show in the 60s, many, I think 60 or more movies of the week, and very famous bipolar sufferer, one of the first celebrities to really shine a light on that illness, and wrote a couple of books about it, and she was always one of the talking heads on Larry King whenever something would happen, and it had to do with mental health. So when my mom passed that day, she passed early in the morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning or something, maybe 2 in the morning. And I was sort of possessed at that moment that I wanted to capture the energy that the world was going to feel when they learned that she passed. So I really quickly put up a crowdfunding page. And I said, I'm going to start a foundation called the Patty Duke Mental Health Patty Duke Mental Health, something, whatever it was. And I said I needed to raise $250,000 because I've done a lot of work with nonprofit organizations, and they are, you know, you can start them very inexpensively, you can start them, you know, however you do, but if you want to play the game of 501c3s in America, it's about hiring great executive directors who do great fundraising. And I had no idea when I launched that page what we would do. I just wanted to be able to honor her and memorialize her in some way and continue her advocacy about mental health. So we raised about, well, it's a good thought, we're not there yet. This is a moment, this is what happens. But so we raised about $60,000. So I hadn't figured out exactly what to do for $60,000 that can be an enduring you know, contribution to that work. I hadn't wanted to just, I could just write it as a check to people and say this is in honor of Patty Duke and find some thing that's out there. I think one thing that I thought about doing, which we're just waiting for the right moment, is to maybe do up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where she lives, like a 5K, like a Patty Duke mental health 5K, and turn it into a thing where, like, before you have a lot of those tables and offer a lot of mental health information about services and, you know, resources and things that people can go to. So the answer is that it's like we're trying to figure out what to do. We're trying to figure out what to do. So, but I really appreciate you asking the question. I would say that one thing that I really think, as the son of a bipolar sufferer, I know that people come up to me all the time and their question is, you know, what can I do? How do you approach a family member or a friend who's clearly struggling? You know, what kind of medicine can they have? What kind of treatment options are available? And you know, there's a whole, people are in need. So kind of, I think I like the idea of doing something that addresses that, what like gives families some support about, you know, things that they might have to help them on their journey. So that's something I'm doing.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
My
Foundation, Patty Mental Health Foundation, that's what we're starting.
Hi, Sean. My question to you is, if Stranger Things and The Goonies had a crossover, let's say it's produced by Richard Donner, directed by the Duffer Brothers, screenplay written by J.J. Abrams, Steven Spielberg, and what have you.
How did J.J. Abrams get in there?
Super 8?
Right.
Yeah.
Super 8 was awesome.
Yeah, it was. How would you think it would go down?
I'm just saying, like, there's no Wookiees in Goonies, is what I was like. No Klingons in Goonies. How I think we're going to, I mean, I think that's what Stranger Things is, really. Stranger Things is about these guys who I don't think they were the Duffers old enough to see Goonies when it came out, or did they discover it? They weren't, right? So, to me, these two young, brilliant guys realized, very clever guys, realized that they could build this incredible time capsule for people to experience. And it's my understanding that they've heard from some of those people you just mentioned who admired what they did very much. So I honestly think you don't even have to ask that question because you already get it. You just have to watch Stranger Things. I actually saw something that did a shot-for-shot comparison, you know, for what movies. It wasn't Poltergeist. Poltergeist should probably be in there a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I said. When I was at cons, people would say, oh, you've got to see this show. It's called Stranger Things. It's like, it's Goonies. It's Goonies. It's Goonies. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's way scarier than Goonies. But, you know, they showed you like where they found stuff from. So you know that they went back and they're like, we love this moment from this movie, how do we put it in there? And what's really genius about the show, and why it stands on its own as not just like kind of a tribute band show, is because they're still telling their story and they care about their stories. And 11, you never saw anything like 11. I think 11 is totally just this inspired piece of film storytelling, and she is, with season 2, can't wait, yeah.
By the way, I was the guy dressed up as Dustin from Stranger Things yesterday.
Yeah, you were fantastic. Now you're Marty McFly, right?
Yes, I'm Marty.
My wife and kids went to the cinema. There's a retro theater, or a theater that does classics, like what was yesterday? Thursday, Friday? Every Friday they show stuff. So we went, take a 10-year-old to see 2001. That's awesome. She did great. At the end of it, she's like, does it take that long to get there in real life? But they watched yesterday Back to the Future for the first time, and I missed it. I am here with you people. I would have spent the whole time watching them watch the show, but I can't wait to hear Elizabeth, who's 15, her breakdown of what works. I heard her in the background say something really holds up because something. I'm like, she knows how to hold things holding up. Kids are smarter now. Sure. Thank you. You're fantastic.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I had a question. So you've been in 2 high scale ensemble casts, Goonies, and then you've been in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Did you have any advice for the kids on Stranger Things? Because it has that Goonies feel almost. Was it familiar?
It really was. And I think everybody kind of knew that. So when I got there, the kids had seen everything, and they were really excited to talk and ask questions. But I've said this, and I'm going to keep saying it for this next couple months as we lead into the release of it, and however long people are asking about it. These kids are stone cold professionals. They are absolutely operating at the top of the craft. They show up, they know their lines, they're emotionally available, they are game day players. So sitting down, the idea that, Obi-Wan from 80s film comes to sit and give knowledge to the kids, after a minute or two, it was very clear that we were just peers. And so we just sat chit-chatting. I have lots of stories, so, an AD would come up and say, okay, we gotta go, they're waiting for you. And I'm like, wait, but I got more stories. They really care. I want to. And they tell you the stories, and they're like, it's okay, we'll be here, we'll do it after. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. So, but the kids, nowadays, I've noticed that in order to really succeed in the industry for young performers, and this probably isn't true all over the place, I'm sure there are, cases that break the rule, but you have to be professional. The industry's going by too fast. Things, the amount of money that gets spent, and the amount of time and energy that people put into it, and the executives' careers and decision-making cycles, and blah, blah, blah. It used to be don't work with kids or pets. Kids or animals. If you do that, that was among directors, it was oh my gosh, don't, Dick Donner, who had directed Superman, it's oh, you're going to do a movie with 7 kids. That's great. By the end of it, it's he was insane. He lost his mind. Because we were all talking at the same time, and But that's it. And kids, their parents seem smarter. My parents are famous, accomplished, wonderful actors, and they're good business people. My mom not as much, but good business people, and I started this big blockbuster hit. I never feel like I understood anything. I always felt like an outsider. I would see someone like Elijah Wood come along, and he was in a movie with Mel Gibson, and then he was in a movie with Bruce Willis, and then he was in a movie with, and by the time he got to, at 19 years old, coming down to do Lord of the Rings, he had worked with every great star in the industry, and he was 1,000 years old. And I just kept saying, how did you, people have asked me my whole life, how did you do it? How did you manage to have such a successful career? And I'm like, Elijah, how did you do it? How did you manage to have such a successful career? the one thing about the kids in Stranger Things is they are riding this galactic tidal wave of success and instant fame. And it's way different than Goonies. Goonies was a movie. You had to see it in the theater, and a lot of it, $80 million worth of people saw it in the theater. But like, it wasn't that ubiquitous. Like, I ran for student body president the next year, and I didn't make the runoff. None of the girls liked me. I was like, I'm starting a Steven Spielberg movie. Can we hold a hand? Like, nothing. So, you were the one, thank you for that. I was the best candidate for sure. I was like, I mean, it really goes to today's, but we won't go into politics too much, I guess, but I love politics. But, I was like, I promise that if you elect me, it's St. Paul the Apostle in the upper social hall where you give your speech. And I'm like, I promise that if you elect me, I won't do another movie until I finish. Nobody cared. I'm like, I promise when I give the announcements, all I knew that the president of the student body did was read do announcements in the morning on the thing. And afterwards, the one teacher who liked me is clapping, it's like crickets. And then Bobby Conca gets up, he's like, who wants free dress on Friday? Who wants less homework? Who wants, and like they're cheering, it's like a rock concert and everything. And
So it's like now.
it's like now, it's exactly. Hormone over substance.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got more of that. My point is that those kids are wearing their instant fame with alacrity. They're really behaving. You never know what's going to happen over a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. But at the moment, when I was interacting with them, I got this real sense of calm and comfort that they were not, that they weren't overreacting to the situation.
So my question is, if you could bring any book or other source material into a film or TV series as a passion project, what would it be and why?
For 10 years, my wife and I have been trying to get Number the Stars made. Number the Stars by Lois Lowry, her first of 2 Newbery Award-winning books, is a children's literary masterpiece. And it's been taught in middle school since 1991, since it came out. It sold, 30 million copies. Never mind the same copies that are in the libraries. Figure out how far to go with this. Go all the way?
All the way.
Raise your hand if you're on Facebook. Raise your hand if you have a Twitter account. Leave it up if you've got a Instagram account, or put your hand on Snapchat. So, Hollywood does not want to make Number the Stars. I know because I've asked everyone. So, how is that? This is our passion project. It's about 2 little girls, a 10-year-old Christian girl and a 10-year-old Jewish girl who are in Copenhagen. They live in the same apartment building in 1943, and one is Christian, one is Jewish, and they, if you don't know your Danish war history, I didn't know my Danish war history when I read this in the book, the Danes, 3 million Lutherans, evacuated their 6,500 Jews. Denmark was occupied by the Nazis in 1939, 1940, but it was a non-aggression treaty that was signed. So the Danes could keep their flag, they could keep their money, they could keep their king, but the Germans were going to take agriculture and they were going to take industry, like they were going to, tax it heavily or just take it all together. But at one point, this guy, Werner von Best, was brought in to run the Danish occupation, and he decided that on the Jewish New Year, he was going to round up the 6,500 Jews. They brought in a boat, they brought in these trains, and they were going to do it. And a guy, I think it was the harbor master or something, learned of the plan. He told the guy who was the head of a labor union, who told Rabbi Melchior, who was the rabbi of the one synagogue in the country, in the city, in the country, small little country. And not unlike Houston and Louisiana right now, family by family, friendship by friendship, neighbor by neighbor, without any logistics planning, without any organization whatsoever. They just leapt into action to save each other. So essentially, 3 million Christians saved the lives of 6,500 Jews. And if you go to Israel, to Yad Vashem, which is where friends of the Jews are memorialized, there's actually a tree in an orchard that's dedicated to the Danish people. Because the Danish, and not an individual, not the king, not, and actually the royalty in England, or in Denmark, helped get Sweden to accept these Jews because they had not accepted others, and there's some controversy about that. But anyhow, there's a tribute to the Danish people. So Lois Lowry, the brilliant children's author, has wrote this book as a tribute to her friend who was 8, she knew her at 8, and lived during that time in Denmark. So Hollywood won't make this movie. The only way that I can think, and this is after 10 hard years of raising tons of money and having to give back tons of money because I didn't raise enough. I think the only way we're going to get it raised is through people like you. And well, your work is about to begin, so hold your clapping for a moment. But, yeah, crowdfunding. I think because there are generations of people who read this in schools. If I'm in a restaurant and I've got Number the Stars sitting next to me and a waiter comes over and sees it, I've had people just break into tears telling me how that little story changed their lives. It's almost like a precursors to not right word, but it's a story that introduces those big concepts of the Holocaust where there isn't a lot of actual violence. The violence is implied. And so before you get to Anne Frank, which is so intense, and you usually read that in high school, I would think, you've been, schools, public schools, churches, synagogues, all teach this book. So I think right now we're in the very active planning stages of a Kickstarter campaign. I'm wanting to make sure that Lois feels good about it because she is deserving of nothing but sterling work when somebody's adapting her material. And it's never a sure thing when you do crowdsourcing. You can put yourself out there and not make the goal, and then you've got egg on your face. But I actually think, in our preliminary research, it's become clear that the only way we would reach a goal is if there was a movement within the public to see that movie get made, to see that book get adapted. And so I've just started a little bit of a process, and I really appreciate your question, and I really appreciate the fact that you all are here, because I haven't told anyone this. Now, this will go out and online, and there's going to be a lot of energy that could be good, and it's almost premature. But if you have liked what I've said, if you take a look at the book, please, we're going to start a Facebook group for it. But at the moment, you can just use my page, Sean Astin, Facebook public, I guess it's called now. I would really, the thing about Kickstarter campaigns is they only work if the people buying a shirt or supporting it know that they're needed. And we can't get this movie made. We just can't get it made. The only way we're going to be able to get this movie made is if the public supports it. So the Kickstarter audience, if we get there, is going to know that, they're needed. And so if you guys want to jump in, you're the first public audience I've mentioned this to, please link arms with me and help me get my passion project, my wife and my passion project, adapted for the big screen. No, I won't do the truffle shovel.
No.
I wasn't going to ask.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to say I actually got to meet you in middle school when you released your autobiography.
Where here?
It was in San Francisco. It was at Dog Ear Books, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was after the...
You're so different now.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through a major transformation. Anyways, I wanted to say that I really love the Goonies. And on a serious note, I actually had a question about whether or not there was any speculation about a sequel or maybe a spin-off of 50 First Dates, because I really feel like the story had a very open ending. So I want to know what you think about that.
I don't know. I mean, I took my love interest at the end of that movie. I felt like that was a off into the sunset kind of thing, but...
I mean,
Protein takes.
these things don't work out. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's
you
true.
know.
But Doug is loyal. Doug is loyal. He's had problems, but he's loyal. I actually really thought that Rob Schneider's character of, was it Hulu?
Yeah.
No, Flippy! Come on, hey, Moo! I'm sorry, Moo! Like, I would kill to see him do a TV series of that. And every time I see him, I'm like, Rob, you've got to do that TV series. And I think the idea of how long it took him to get, like, the tan makeup on and get, like, to do everything, he was like, I don't know if I can do that. But I absolutely love that. It's actually, 50 First Dates is deceptively wonderful.
Yeah.
It is so, the idea that you would have to work every day to convince your mate that you're in love with them. I mean, I'm so unworthy of the message of that movie. And my wife would be like, try. So, yeah, and Drew is fantastic, and Adam is a mention. Yeah, so thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Can't wait to see you in another 10 years.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to thank you for being here. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. And my question for you is, if you could be any Middle-earth race, what would you be?
If I could be any Middle-earth race, what would I be? Well, I know what they are. I was mulling, you know? I was ruminating for a minute. I actually think I'd pick, you're going to be disappointed. I hate disappointing people, but I'm not going to pander anymore. What I'm going to do is, I think I would actually choose humans. That doesn't mean you have to choose humans. What your hobbits would be normal sized if there weren't humans to walk by them and see that they're smaller. Dwarves are awesome with their industry, and hobbits are so, like, they're the race worth saving, the meek inherit the earth, and ale and gardening and singing and, just, their 11s and all the above. Yeah, just gorgeous. Elves live forever, and they're badass warriors, and, so I wouldn't want to be an orc or an Uruk-hai. Don't sloppy, those guys are. I don't know. It's not but no, I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time going into fantasy. And it's so funny because I come to these conventions and people are so comfortably transporting themselves into all of these wonderful worlds. So, from my side of the microphone, you all are my reality. So, to me, being human is so flawed and messed up and sloppy and painful and fragile, but that's who we are, and that's who we get to be to each other. And so, yeah, I like being a human being.
You are beautifully politically involved, and you had mentioned in previous interviews that maybe you thought you would run for president. And I just want to say that I would vote for you. So please run.